In this episode of the Reclaim podcast, we're joined by Dr. Darcelle Schouw to talk about the power of exercise and how it's helped her through her cancer diagnosis.
Put into context how our paths crossed a few weeks ago, just for the listeners and the viewers. So
a few weeks is like month, it's like 2 months.
It's quite a while, yeah. So a few months ago in January, I caught up with this childhood friend that I hadn't seen for 40 plus years, and he just connected on Facebook and said, look, I'm going to be in Perth in January, you're going to be around. So we caught up after many decades, and we had a good chat. And at the end of the chat, I posted a picture of the two of us on social media, and we got some sponsors. You were one of them because mutual connection there, only to find out that you and I had met before as well as kids. And my memory, being what it is, couldn't remember that. And I felt awful, but I can't remember that far back.
So we were about 8 years old.
We're about 8 years.
A long time.
Yeah. And then we got chatting, and you shared some of your journey, what you've been through, and I shared some of mine. And then through those respective journeys, we found a common ground, and that being exercise. So obviously you've done that for a long time. I've exercised for a long time, pretty much since I was a kid. But our reasons for exercising now are completely different to what they were back then.
So it's reconnecting after so many years, being in grade 3. We were 8 years old, and so now we find ourselves actually following similar paths, and there's so much synergy, and you mentioned the exercise and just in getting to know you, there's this, we call it the twin factor between the two of us. So
a lot of similarities, yeah.
A lot of similarities, except for the coffee. With me, I'm in the space of lifestyle medicine. And so lifestyle medicine uses an evidence-based approach for the prevention, treatment of chronic diseases of lifestyle, cancer, hypertension, diabetes, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and obesity and arthritis. And lifestyle medicine focuses on 6 pillars of health: healthy eating, predominantly whole food, plant-based, increasing physical activity, restorative sleep, managing stress, managing substance abuse, and forming and maintaining relationships. And all of those are crucial to having and important to having a healthy lifestyle. And it involves self-care, and self-care looks at all of those pillars and what we can do for ourselves in having optimal health and well-being.
And that's really important, because I think there's a real misconception about self-care. When you mention self-care to somebody, they might think one aspect only. It's like, I've got to exercise more, or my diet's got to change, or I have to get more sleep, or it's an or rather than an and. But our discussion today is going to center around exercise and the benefits, because the benefits are ridiculously profound.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much more around it that I don't think people are aware of. Like, they know exercise is good for you, but they don't know how good.
Yeah. And I think, Sean, we mentioned, we've been exercising way back in our teens already, and that was our thing. And we actually joked and we said that the amount of exercise that we both do, because we love doing it, if exercise was food, we'd be obese, because
Absolutely.
We just love consuming it. But also there's those feel-good hormones that are released, but also how we feel after we've exercised. And, it just has a ripple effect into all of those other pillars that I've mentioned earlier. So in essence, exercise is medicine. It's a natural mood enhancer.
Absolutely. And then also depending on what sort of exercise you do. So for me, it's very much, and this is a necessity as well. So mine's very musculoskeletal, because my current condition dictates that that's the sort of exercise I need to do. For me, it's a necessity, because if I don't exercise the way I do, I'm going to lose a lot of muscle density And the consequences for me in that regard is that I probably won't be able to walk. I'll lose a lot of leg function. So my condition is called quarter equina syndrome, which is it's a cluster of nerves at the base of the spine that fans out like a horse's tail, and that feeds into your legs, your digestive system. So that's compromised. And that was a result of 2 herniated discs. So the neural signal to my legs is really weak. All the mechanics are there. I can walk, I can't run so much, but I have to keep that mobility and that little bit of function that I have to keep that going.
That's where exercise comes in.
And it's crucial. It's crucial that I keep going with it. There is a chance that my nerves might regenerate. Like, it's going to be a long process. It's going to be very slow. And I'm doing a lot of things. So I'm trying some new therapies in that regard. So what they've introduced recently was a peptide treatment. So the particular peptide is BPC157 and TV500. So mixture of those 2 peptides. TV500 is the main one. So that's to enhance nerve growth.
And I guess the same for me. So I've been diagnosed with breast cancer, diagnosed in end of 2022. And prior to my diagnosis, I was cycling. So I cycle out on the mountain bike, and I was at my peak in terms of my fitness, cycling regularly. And just through a routine check, it was found that I have a breast cancer and that had spread to the lymph nodes. I then had a bilateral mastectomy and underwent chemotherapy. Chemo was hard, but with my mindset, I was determined to exercise throughout my treatment. And in hindsight, if I did not train, I think I would have been weaker than where I'm at now. So for both of us saying that, yes, exercise was almost like our drug of choice, and it made us feel good. Now in this instance where you were the quarter equina and now myself with the breast cancer, throughout the stages of the breast cancer treatment, I needed to do graded exercise. And some days I could do 1 minute of exercise, but that, for me, exercise, emotion comes from motion. So I always believe that in my psyche, so that if I just got to move a little bit, it did something to my mood. So there were days where I could only exercise for a minute or for 5 minutes. And then there would be days where I could actually, so it would actually be prior to me getting my next dose of chemotherapy. I would then get onto my bicycle and I'd be able to cycle. And that for me is like, I would be screaming and it would be like, I got to do it. And that was almost like food for me, you know. So what it did for me prior to the diagnosis, I got them in bouts, you know, and now I'm getting them in small doses. So my dosage was reduced,
right,
but the effect was still as good. I could still feel the benefit. And with the chemotherapy, the side effects of the chemotherapy, there was a lot of peripheral neuropathy, so only just my feet that was affected and my hands. So now, same as with you, I go out into the gym, I have to go. So now I'm not able to ride my bicycle like I used to, because with the treatment and the side effects, there's a loss of cartilage. So I'm actually, with my knees, it's bone on bone. So I'm not as stable on my mountain bike, but I'm stable on the spinning bike. I've been managing about 10 Ks of spinning, and then I combine 10 kilometers of cycling on the spinning bike. And then I do an hour of weighted exercise in the swimming pool. And when I get out of that swimming pool, I am an absolute beast. I am new. I am normal. There's like no holding me back. So then I can actually do what I want to do. Yes, yesterday I got onto my bike and I did my first 20K. And that was like, I was bursting inside and just how good I feel. And then the neuropathy is not as pronounced. And so, yes, exercise right now is the best medicine. It tastes and it feels good.
It really does. And like you said, with the feeling good afterwards and feeling like a beast, in your words, like a lot of people have a misconception that they're going to go to, let's say, the gym and then have a workout and then they're going to be left depleted for the rest of the day. That's what they think, but it's the complete opposite. It really sets you up to to take the day on. Yeah, it really does. It's phenomenal.
And also where you say about the self-care, and then some days, I would wake up and I have excruciating pain and I don't want to go to gym. I don't want to go there, and I'm like, can I just not rest this one out? But self-care is actually doing the thing that's hard and knowing how
Don't want to do it, yeah.
Especially when you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And actually going there and doing what I can do. So sometimes on the days when I'm feeling that I don't really want to go, but when I'm there, yes, it is a bit of a struggle, I'm not going to lie. But once I get into it, I am so glad that I came and my body thanks me.
And you see those kind of neural pathways that you develop, like going to the gym or going to exercise when you really aren't motivated, that discipline filters out into other aspects of your life to take on those challenges when you don't really want to at all. All you want to do is just back off. So it really has a compounding effect on other aspects of your life. It has a ripple effect.
Yes.
So with your recovery, do you think your recovery wouldn't have been as
Advanced
if you hadn't exercised
if I had it?
prior to your diagnosis?
Yes, I think psychologically, physiologically, my body was set up. So also in terms of lifestyle medicine, which I practice now, I also focus on whole food plant-based. So prior to my diagnosis, I was already doing whole food plant-based eating.
Oh, okay.
So yes, it did come as a shock for me that I did have the diagnosis because I was doing everything right. But what about the person who doesn't embark on eating properly or exercising? It's almost like your recovery is at a lower level than what the person who exercises. So you almost set up, you condition.
Yeah.
So I think the preconditioning helped me even throughout last year. I think, yes, 2023 was when I went through the most of my chemotherapy treatment, but I still continued to work. I did not take time out to recover because I was exercising. I was able to go out there. Yes, there's the day when I do get treatment, I'm flat, but I do a bit of exercise and then I go out and I'm able to do. So in that regard, I do know when I go for chemo, there were of the ladies that were receiving the same kind of treatment, but then they felt they had no energy. They actually took the year out and they did not do any form of exercise. Also with chemotherapy, it not only kills the cancer cell, the bad cells, it kills the good cells. So you need something. Exercise helps to regenerate those cells. And also with the nutrition, you mentioned some of the supplementation that you're taking. So I'm also having to focus on taking fucoidin, which is sea moss, or natural products, sulforaphane. Those are building foods, and those regenerate my cells.
You mentioned sea moss. So what does that do?
So the sea moss is the fucoidin. It's part of angiogenesis, so forming of new cells. And then there's LDN, low dose naltrexone, which I take about 30 milligrams. So same as with chemo drugs, they cause apoptosis, so the breakdown of the cancer cells. So nature has given us all of these things.
Absolutely. Our bodies are absolutely incredible vessels. We are our own pharmacies, basically. All we've got to do is nurture it, with taking in the right stuff.
Sean, also, I think it's being intentional. You can't do this without being intentional.
No, yes. So and it's a complete paradigm shift, like it's a complete lifestyle change. And as soon as you mention that to some people, though, they shy away from it because it sounds too overwhelming. A lifestyle change, like everything's got to change wholesale. So they become too overwhelmed and they don't do anything. So really it's taking those baby steps. I know that's a cliche I always hated, but it's so true.
So you have to take baby steps.
You have to. Yeah, you have to. As long as you're taking them forward. And there's a couple of steps that you might have to do a couple of times over,
I have this analogy that helps me keep going. So I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, you're in Australia. And to get onto a train, say I'm going from one station to the next. I know what my destination is, but between those two stations, there are several other stations. And sometimes you want to get off. I know what my ultimate destination is. So I know I'm having to go to Simonstown from from Cape Town. But to get to Simonstown, I have to stop somewhere in Muizenberg. And Muizenberg looks like fun. They've got all these colorful huts, and that may be like wanting to eat things that I'm not supposed to be eating, that's not going to be beneficial, or drinking what I'm not supposed to be drinking. So I get off on that station, but it's okay to get off on the station, but just get back onto the train and keep moving.
That's a great idea. So for me as well, my surgeon, my specialist told me as much. He said I hadn't had all these years of exercising prior to my injury, recovery would have looked completely different for me.
And what you say, like with your surgeon, and I think to a measure and to a degree, when we do seek medical treatment for conditions such as what we have, and they're chronic, it's also not to just leave everything up to the surgeon to dictate or say, this is what you're going to be doing, or prescribe.
No,
it's almost a joint. It's joint decision making. So you take responsibility for your health. And what is it that you're going to do? So I'm not just going to be pumping in all of these medications, pharmaceutical medication.
Yeah.
What is it that I can do for myself? And take ownership for your own body and where you want to go. And one of the pillars with lifestyle medicine is about purpose and connection. So we're more than just the bodies that we have.
Oh,
we have purpose, and understanding what the purpose is. We can't do what we do with a sick body. So you have to do whatever it takes, whatever the positive ways that it's going to take to get you to that place so that you can live your purpose and you can be who God created us to be. So yes, the sickness happened, but we're not going to create a monument and okay, that's where it ends. Right, this happens. What do we do with what's been dealt with us? So we said, remember, we spoke about and we said, why is it that, we love exercise, we love training, and now it's not fair.
It's not fair. But again, it comes back to what you just said, the mindset and how you process it.
And also with me, with the mindset, with the diagnosis, wanting to be positive all the time, but it's not always when you're going through it. It's not what you had hoped it's going to be, because no matter how positive you are, there is the real struggle, the physical pain. There are those real things, those real issues. And how I got through it with my mindset was the only way I could think of was I loved watching the movie Gladiator. I thought, if I'm going to approach this cancer journey, I'm going to do it like from a gladiator perspective. I'm the gladiator. And there's one part in the movie where everybody's sitting in this, I think it's like in this dungeon thing, and before they leave the cage, they go into the Colosseum, and all the animals are out there. They don't know what to expect. And Maximus, I love Maximus. So Maximus says to the rest of the guys, listen up. We can beat whatever they throw at us if we stick together. So for me it was, if I have my support, if I do what I need to do, whatever is thrown at me, whatever comes out of those cages, I can beat. And that's how I was able to get through the journey. And I'm still going through the journey, as with you, the process still continues. But I'm a lot more alive, and I'm thankful for each day. I'm thankful that for the little things that I can lift up my pillow today, whereas yesterday I struggled.
It's a tragedy to see healthy or able-bodied people just kind of squander.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you.
I think the message to take away is, we've been exercising most of our lives, but if you aren't exercising at the moment, be proactive about it. Be proactive. Start. Don't wait for something to go pear-shaped and then take on that journey, but start now. Just, benefits are ridiculous. There's a Canadian psychotherapist that I follow, Jordan Peterson, and he said it's not the all the reading and brain training that people do. It's not that really keeps the mind active. It's keeping your body active keeps the mind active. He said once the results of that study came through, that's when he started really to take his exercise seriously.
And people people can really start anywhere. I mean, if you love dancing, put that favorite song on and move, and 150 minutes of exercise a week is recommended for a healthy lifestyle. So there's 30 minutes a day, and you can actually break it up, do 10 minutes, a brisk walk. So when you walk intentionally.
Yeah.
Suck in that navel, that's an isometric contraction. Keep the shoulders back, move with intention. So you've done your 10 minutes. You're going to walk to your car, so walk intentionally. And you can add that up, and maybe you do a 5-minute dance here, 5-minute dance there. And then you'll find that you've actually done the 30 minutes for the day, 150 minutes for the week, boom,
Yeah.
So it's not that difficult to get into.
It's really not. And the thing is, us as human beings, well, our bodies are designed to be sedentary. We're not designed to be sitting around watching television and that kind of stuff. We're designed to be active beings. That's what our bodies, that's where we thrive. We need to be active.
And I just read a quote yesterday about you exercise, and then also it's important what you put inside your body. Society is so used to eating junk food that they view eating healthy food as going on a diet.
Yes, and that's sort of conditioning that people need to shake. We're living in societies that we're not really designed to. We're not meant to function like this. High stress, high paced. We're not meant to be like that. That in itself is toxic and dangerous. So we can counter that with self-care, with eating the right things, getting the right amount of sleep, exercising, doing the breathing, just doing all the things. And it's not monumental. Yes.
Connecting with good people, connecting with people that build you, that encourage you, that motivate you. It's just that juice of life,
It's really up. Yeah. And along the journey of connection, connecting with good people and uplifting people, you're going to lose some people along the way. That's not an appealing process, really, but it has to happen.
On that losing people, I think, like you having gone through your journey and me going through my journey, it's been an eye-opener. So I think for a lot of us, we think we have eternity to live for. We're going to live forever. So it doesn't matter what you do with your body. But I realize now that with the cancer, you become, prior to having been diagnosed, you don't see your own blind spots. So you people please and you do whatever everybody else wants you to do. And you're always there, but you exhaust yourself. You are stressed out. Doesn't matter what people say or do to you, you absorb it because you're nice,
Yeah.
And I've learned with having gone to therapy and being on this journey that it's important to set boundaries, that I don't need to play this role in everybody's life. And yes, people are going to think that I've changed, which I did, and I'm happy for. But I choose what you say to me and what to have an impact on my life. So what I don't agree with, I can walk away from. And that's okay, because I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my heart and my emotional space.
Yeah, our filters do quite strong, yeah.
Being healthy and the self-care, yes, it's the exercise and it's the eating well, but it's also who you surround yourself with, who you allow to speak into your life, who you allow to dictate and want you to live a life that they want you to live and not what you want to live.
Exactly.
And that's so liberating and freeing, is to, I have a voice and my voice counts.
With connecting people, I think once you start the journey, you just organically attract the people you're supposed to attract. It's supposed to be in your world,
Yes.
Like people that vibe the same as you do. So it just happens.
Yes.
Without you going out to search for it. I don't know. It's like searching for a radio station. Like you're going to skip past like some interference and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Until you hit it. Until you hit that frequency.
Yes.
There it is. Yeah. Now,
There's your song. There's your jam.
Yeah, exactly. And when it happens, it's just it's awesome. Hopefully, people have a better understanding of the concept of self-care through this talk, because it's a misconceived one. The important message, though, is that it's not as daunting as people think. You know, there's an element of fear as well. Like, people, as toxic as their current situations might be, there's an element of fear of jumping out of that because it's jumping into the unknown, you know, but there's a lot of beauty in that unknown.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just take that chance, just take that step.
It's you doing the work.
Yes, no one's going to come and save you, really.
Nobody's going to save you.
Yeah.
Nobody. There's a sense of purpose, there's a sense of coming together within myself. But it's the hard work, and sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's me by myself, and I'm having to filter through what works and what doesn't work, and then praying and committing all of this. So in my case, I pray and I commit it to God, and I'm like, I feel him smile on me, and he's like, yes, you know, and I'm not doing it alone, and he's there with me, and I'm like, I am incredibly super strong, because it's not something that's from within that's myself. It's God that carries me, and then I can do what I thought I wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. You said earlier, you touched on that it can be lonely sometimes, and I do understand what you mean, because it can be a bit lonely, and that loneliness, sometimes that compels people to go back to toxicity, because so they contract themselves just to fit in, and that's the worst thing you can do to yourself. There's a quote by Elaine Baton, and it says, loneliness is a sort of tax you pay to atone for a certain complexity of mind. And I love that, you know, because I'm not going to change how I am, how I feel, how I perceive the world, just because I want to fit in a certain group. That group's not for me. Either they catch up or they don't, but I'm not going back.
Or they don't.
Yeah.
As weird as it may seem, I mean, if I think back to prior diagnosis, I was at my peak. I thought I was on top of my game. I was doing what I was loving. Everything just felt like I've arrived.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the case. It's like being on this journey. And there's also a quote, ruin is the road to transformation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And
wow.
And I found that in my journey now, with ruin has happened to my body. I don't know this body. So much of me has changed, but I've been transformed. And I'm meeting this girl for the first time, and I like her. It's simple. It's simple. It's doing the work inside, letting go of what doesn't serve you any longer, embracing what you don't see, stepping out into the unknown. I'm going through the worst, but there's such a blessing in it, not to also sound cliche or whatever. There's a peace and there's a joy that I've wanted, and I have it now.
And that's why I do what I do, because I just want to help dig people out of this seemingly, and it's an illusion, like it's a seemingly hard thing to do, to work yourself out of this well, but it's not. It just seems like it's impossible. There's another quote that I like. It says, fear is an inch deep, but a mile wide. And it really is, because, you know, look out, you see this vast expanse of fear, like an ocean, but then you step in and it's only very, very shallow. And that's when you feel, well,
yes,
I can do this. Because we do amplify things, you know, we ruminate on negative things, and, you know, we get stuck in that negative thought loop.
And I also feel like you saying where you're at now, and you wanting to help people, to help lift them up. And so I also find myself, and I don't think I would have gotten into this space, it's with exercise oncology, is to give patients who are going through breast cancer, to give them that hope and to say, this is what you can do. It doesn't matter where you find yourself at.
Yeah.
If you can only lift your arm for 10 seconds, you've done something. To provide a platform for women and men who go through breast cancer or any type of cancer, that your movement is so important. And that's why in my practice with lifestyle medicine, especially for not only cancer, but for any other chronic disease, that's a diagnosis that was given to you. That isn't a death sentence. So what do you do with that diagnosis? And partner with somebody who's going to walk the journey with you so that you can live fully despite what you were
Right.
diagnosed with.
Yeah, fantastic. And you're doing great work in that space. You've got these public speaking engagements. You've got a segment on KFM radio back in South Africa. We
Yes.
are sharing this information, and it needs to get out there. The more we put it out there, the more people grasp.
There's so much information out there, and people are so used to reading it and hearing about
So they become
self-care,
desensitized. do you think?
exercise. Yeah, desensitized. But I'm hoping that with us sharing our experiences and where we are at, that somebody will just catch on to what we're saying and say, you know what, I can live and taste the juice of life exactly where I'm at. And I'm not waiting till I have a different diagnosis or I have a different outcome or my circumstances change. What do I do in the now where I'm at? Because every day is a gift, and we choose what we do with that gift. And it's gonna be hard sometimes, but the hard is the best part, because once you push through the hard, on the other side of hard is that, yes, I got to do it,
Yeah, and that
You
in
know?
itself is empowering, because then now you have this realization that, geez, I can actually do this.
There's so much joy, right?
There's an abundance of joy.
Ah.
There really is. And I just wish everybody can tap into that.
There's big joys and there's small joys.
Yeah.
There's
So,
joy.
thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Darcelle.